We work hard so you can get hard. That's a lot.
Woo! I'm sure that was consensual.
It was fucking Carl!
Hey guys, it's Alec and Dalton. We're here to talk about strictly ball business here in the NBA. It's the off season, but plenty to talk about as Collin Sexton's looking for a new home, and there are teams on the rise that we want to talk about. One of them today is the Houston Rockets. We're gonna project what they're gonna be like 5 years out from now, and then a bit more of just what's going on in today. Who are the top 5 leaders of today's league? And then back to the future, we'll do a couple deep dives on a couple of our favorite players in the league, Tyrese Haliburton and Evan Mobley. We believe they're next up to be all-stars, and we're going to tell you why. So to start out here today, strictly ball business, we are projecting what the Houston Rockets are going to be 5 years from now. So the year is 2022. It's going to be 2023 at the end of this season. But we're projecting out 5 years from now. So 27, 28. Where do you think they're going to be at?
I don't think they're going to be as well off as the Pistons, actually, from our last video. I was thinking about it, and I was looking at the talent they have. You know, we still need to see a lot of growth before we can really say it. But to start off, I mean, the standings-wise, I had them like very much like the Kings this year, is just kind of fighting for a play-in spot with it. They have a few good guys that are really talented, but I don't see them further than that. Plus, they're in the West, so it's going to be a lot harder.
If they were fighting for a play-in spot this year, that would be incredible. I do not see them even getting close to that.
Not this year, 5 years. In 5 years.
5 years from now. Oh, yeah. Man. Oh, wow. Yeah, they better be better than that at that point. But I suppose...
You'd like to think, but I mean, realistically, you look at teams like, I mean, that was the peak. Basically, a play-in team was the peak for the Magic, and that was like the peak of their rebuild.
Yeah, so. But the Magic never had a top 5 or top 3 pick during that rebuild. Like their highest pick was Aaron Gordon, who was like the 4th, and then like Alfred. So that, you know, those were kind of the guys they were building that rebuild around. Whereas the Rockets, they've got Jalen Green, we know is a stud. He's going to be a certified scorer in this league. No problem. Bucket getter every night. It's his defense that we got to see what's going to happen there. But they also drafted Jabari Smith, which we had agreed for most of the draft process that he was the safest pick in the draft. And that's because of his shooting and his defensive capabilities. So I definitely see this team as one that can get a lot better than a play-in team. And I hope 5 years from now, they're being like a 6th seed, maybe a 7th seed, and they're looking at bringing someone in to help out, their guys accelerate further. Might even be before then that they bring that type of guy in, but we'll see. Like, you got to capitalize while you have Jalen Green so cheap, and you got Jabari Smith so cheap. But this video would be a lot easier for us to make if, like, it was after this season and we already knew what Jabari Smith looked like. But we haven't really seen that yet. So like if he plays this year and he looks phenomenal and we're convinced like, okay, this guy is going to be a really good player in this league, then this, projections probably change a lot on your side too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, so I have player comparisons I mainly did there's 4 young talents that I really think could be something more than they are in this team. And spoiler alert, Kevin Porter's not one of them. He was on our last year. Last year we did young talent. We were high on him. We were super excited to see what happened. I mean, like people argue like 15 points a game, but it was highly inefficient. And Jalen Green was more efficient than him, and it was Jalen Green's rookie year. So Jabari, I see him in 5 years being a Jaren Jackson Jr., less on defense, more on offense. So the jump shooter, but he's still there defensively, just not like defensive player of the year candidate like Jaren Jackson was. So I see him being as that caliber of player in 5 years. I was looking at all of his summer league highlights, watching the film. I mean, very little playmaking he has. He fits well into an offense where he can just give him the ball and score, but he gets overwhelmed easy on defense. He makes stupid fouls, and he'll make the bad pass when he gets overwhelmed. I see him in 5 years from what I saw in summer league, as a fourth tier, like could make a few all-star games, 16 to 18 point per game score. I didn't see that superstar potential that I saw in like Paolo or Chet in summer league. That's my analysis of Jabari.
I don't know if we can write him off as that. I think like he could certainly turn out to be like a Chris Middleton type of player. Okay. I think he could also end up as like a Tobias Harris. I think there's possibilities there. Either way, I think he's going to be a solid scorer in this league. Anytime that you're an efficient 3-point shooter from that position being that big, I think that you're going to have a long career in this league. So we'll see what turns out for the rest of his game. And I think his defense is a big question mark, even though like potential, sure, it's there. The size is great. The speed is great. He seems versatile to be able to guard multiple positions, but we got to see it. We did see more out of Chet and out of Paulo in those summer league games. How much stock do I put into that? I don't know. I got to see him play some games against real league guys too.
Yeah, I mean, don't like me comparing him to Jaren Jackson more on offense, less on defense. Wasn't like that's all he's going to be. We still can see a lot out of Jaren.
Like I think Jaren Jackson though.
I just think he's going to have a slower development than a lot of the other players, where they're going to come out and produce right away. I think he could most certainly get to Chris Middleton. I think he could be better than Chris Middleton. It's just in 5 years, I see him being. If in 5 years he's a player like Jaren Jackson, I don't see anything wrong with that. Jaren Jackson's the second best player on the Grizzlies, arguably.
Oh, yeah, I got no issues with that. Jaren Jackson's a great player. Like, if he turns out for that to be like his best capabilities, like that wouldn't be bad either, to be honest.
Yeah. But one
get that alongside Jalen Green. So.
Oh yeah, so one superstar is Jalen Green. I really do think he's going to be a superstar. I have them all on tier lists, and I had him on a second tier. So a superstar, but I'm not convinced he can be a number one on a championship team yet. In 5 years, I think he'll be that second tier Bradley Beal level. Klay Thompson level player, where he has to be the number 2, or Anthony Davis type, where they could be that number 2. His defense, I think he'll always struggle, just because of his size and his arm length and everything. He's limited by his capabilities, just a small and skinny type guy. But I think he is an active player on defense, much like Collin Sexton. So I think if he gets some good coaching and good players around him, his defense will show out to be better. I had him, and this is like the best, most accurate I can give him. So hopefully people don't think I'm saying he's shitty, but he's such his own type of player. It's hard to find a comparison. But Buddy Hield times 3, but with a great inside downhill game. That's what I have him as. And like, take it what you will. Like, Buddy Hield is a great shooter in this league, but times 3, like, I think he's going to be able to. I think he is like he's what we've seen. The Steph Curry effect is he's just going to take so many threes. He can do it inside. He can run downhill, super athletic type guy, which Buddy Hield doesn't have at all. But I think he's just going to be able to do it there. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, if he can shoot exactly what Buddy Hield does, which is 40% on 10 threes a game, plus having that inside game, like, that's already superstar type of play. Mm-hmm. like he's going to be a high usage player, so he's going to have plenty of opportunities. So definitely can see him getting to that. And like, he's going to be the alpha on this team. Like, everybody else is going to follow him. They spent their highest draft pick they've had on him. They started the rebuild, really with him. Like, he's the guy. So Jabari Smith, like, as great as he'll probably be, he's gonna be like the Jaylen Brown to Jason Tatum. Instead, like, well, I guess it's not the greatest comparison because Brown did get drafted first, but nonetheless, I do think the Robin in the story.
Yeah, I do think he's gonna be the perfect Robin for someone. I mean, maybe he'll come out next year and we'll see. Oh no, he's the dog. He's number 1. But from what we saw last year, based off, I do think he's gonna be that Robin. Because also one great thing about him is how good he is off ball. He's one of the most active players, always running, always moving off ball, like very Steph Curry like. So I think that's super valuable to have, where you can just literally it it doesn't limit you in the draft to the point where you're like, oh, he has to have the ball. I mean, he's gonna get his touches, but like you can get a ball dominant point guard if you want that needs the ball because he can do it. Like he can run off ball, he'll get what he needs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like if they end up getting a different point guard, like that's someone that they can bring in as a veteran later on in this rebuild.
Yeah.
You know, who knows who that's going to end up being at that point, but guarantee that they'll have their eyes on someone that can really steer the ship and get everybody else's asses in line. Because Kevin Porter Jr. seems like a good player and all, but I think he'd be best even as like a sixth man. So you probably just hang on to him as long as you can with Houston, knowing that like no other team really cares to bring him in, and you try to make him your sixth man and bring in a veteran as your point guard.
Yeah, I saw, like, I didn't do a formal breakdown of Kevin Porter Jr., but I figured we'd talk about it. And my player comparison to him is like a Devontae Graham, a peak Devontae Graham to Dennis Schroeder, where they're super effective sixth man, can come and run an offense in and out, stardom like that. I think he's going to be like that. I just don't think he's the point guard of the Rockets' future. I don't think he should be. Is there any point guards coming up in this next draft that's superstar? I haven't even looked up at the scouting reports.
I don't really know much of the prospects outside of Victor at all.
Oh yeah, but Victor's the big take, which they could use. Which gets into like their best big man right now that Christian Wood is gone, is Alperen Şengün, who I'm super excited to see more of because he didn't get that much playing time just because he needed a lot more conditioning. But he certainly can do a lot. I mean, he needs more physical on offense and rebounding. He could grab rebounds. He was just lost his placement under the basket and everything when I was watching the film. He gets timid when he's posted onto the basket. He'll have like near wide open looks, or he can easily hook over someone, but he just kind of like he just looks timid under there, so he'll miss the shot. He doesn't get enough power underneath it, but loses placement. I put him as a fifth tier role player. Fits offense. So I had him kind of as like a Kristaps Porzingis, not much on defense. When you lost the height, but he's more mobile, more stable. He doesn't look so clumsy on his feet as Porzingis did. Porzingis now is what I'm saying he's gonna be. He can.
Yeah, I mean, if he could get that good, that would be interesting. I don't think he's really shown enough as a shooter for me to believe in him on that front. But I'd love to see him develop that. Hopefully in 5 years, that is something he has. I think in 5 years, Alperen Şengün is out of the league. That's my prediction. But I'd love to be wrong. I really liked him coming out of the draft, and I think there's definitely potential there. But that's my prediction, is he's going to be out of the league.
Yeah, I mean, what impressed me was how smart he was. He's a very smart player. He knew all defensive rotations and stuff. He's still limited by his size, and he's kind of a stubby guy. But we'll see. I mean, I do think that'll be his peak. I don't think he'll get better than a fifth tier role player. Fifth tier essentially being like you could probably start.
No, he won't be out of the league. I was kidding about that. No, I think he might not be on this team though. I think there's a possibility that he's on a different team. I think definitely he's got some post scoring abilities. I really liked what I've seen from him on that end. Like his footwork's really good. So definitely think things can work out, but they need somebody to stabilize that offense because I just don't think he's going to get enough looks.
Yeah, that's another reason I thought they were going to be the worst in the West this year, just because they don't have anybody to still hold out. You like to think it was Kevin Porter, but it's not. So it's just no one's running this offense.
Yeah,
but
so it's just a mess.
Yep. The last guy I wanted to get into, and he's kind of just an afterthought, which I think there's some potential there, and I'd like to see more out of him. I hope he gets minutes. Is Ty Washington. We talked about him coming into this about the Wolves drafting him, which wouldn't have mattered anyway. But he pushes the pace, great in pick and roll. He can pair really well with Şengün. A lot of what he did was creating space off pick and roll, and I see a lot of confidence at that, and might be a good place.
He could end up being the starter.
Yeah, I mean they can swap him in and out. I wouldn't be surprised. He was very inefficient in summer league. But a lot of players are inefficient in summer league. That's not the highest.
But 5 years down the line, he could end up being the starter. I think he needs a couple of years of seasoning. I think potential is definitely there as a speedy and elusive guy. Leading your 5-man group can really work out sometimes. So I don't know. maybe that's a guy to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I liked about him was he could confidently command that offense in summer league. So he was really a point guard that was worth having around. I mean, he was, like I said, he was inefficient, but he was able to create space. So all it takes is him to start knocking down those shots. Suddenly he's getting eyes, a lot more eyes. So I think he could be really a steal in this draft. I can't wait to see what he can do.
Oh yeah, no, we'll definitely see, man. But we've talked a lot about the Rockets. I don't know, you got anything else to say on these guys? You think 5 years from now they're a playing team, though?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth mentioning Jayshawn Tate, but in 5 years he's going to be 31. I don't think he's going to be on this team in 5 years. He's a good piece. I think he'll end up being on a decent team. Just not this team.
Yeah. What about
Bruno Fernando?
What about Kenyon Martin Jr.?
Kenyon Martin Jr. Is he still on this team? Oh, he was on last year. I don't know. I mean, 8 points a game last season. I don't know. Well,
no prediction. Is he out of the league?
Yeah, I say out of the league. I don't see him sticking around that long.
Man,
nothing impressive.
I think the nepotism helps out, and that keeps players along further. So even if he did get worse, like, it's not going to matter because he's got the nepotism and give him another longer leash.
Fair enough, I guess.
It's facts, and you know it.
Right.
But yeah, let's move on. We've talked enough Rockets. We'll go ahead and put that in our pocket for the next time. Okay. We are going to talk Collin Sexton trades, okay? So we are tired of him being on the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have bushwhacked our boy. They offered him a 3-year, $40 million contract. Absolute dog shit offer for our boy. So where does he need to go? Where's your number 5 spot that you think is most likely for him to end up, or that you want him to go? How did you rank it?
I didn't put landing spots. I have 3 trades. Sign-in trades. My
bad. I don't know why I said 5. We were talking next 5 years of Rockets, so my mind was on that.
And we have a ranking 5 after this. I get it. 5s are everywhere. 5's the number today.
But right now, he's got 3 trade proposals, ladies and gents. Let's hear the first one.
All right, so a lot of people might think I'm selling him low on these, but it's a sign-in trade, and he's already declined the extension that they offered. So I don't think they're gonna have much choice in certain matters on what they get back. So first trade, Cavaliers. Collin Sexton's going to the Wizards for Will Barton and Rui Hachimura. What do you think? Who says no?
I think the Cavs would say no if they could. I mean, I think they could find something better than that.
Yeah, but however,
Rui's not bad, to be fair, I guess.
Rui's not bad. He adds a lot of inside presence that you get. I mean, he's not the best, most fleshed out prospect, but he is something back that I wouldn't be too mad if lost Collin Sexton. I'm sure they'd want to pick back for Collin Sexton.
Is he a better prospect than Isaac Okoro?
Rui?
Yeah.
Is he a better prospect than Isaac Okoro? I think he has done more in this league than Isaac Okoro.
Yeah.
But I see aspects of Isaac that can be more valuable on a championship team.
Yeah, I think that's the question that the Cavs just need to ask themselves if they're bringing in a guy that's going to take some of Okoro's minutes.
Yeah, well, plus I think Rui's a power forward. Okoro's a wing. Rui can play. He plays the 3 and 4. Isaac plays the 2 and 3. But I think I think Will Barton would be a great vet to have on this team. I think he kind of fills a lot of holes because we've talked about how Will Barton's just an all-around. He's good at everything, just not great at everything. And I think that's something they could really use some stability scoring on defense. Just another vet to have there. I mean, they have Ricky Rubio, they have Rondo, who's great vets to have, and I think he's just adding to that where they can still lean into Karras playing that 2 or Isaac playing the 2 and Karras off the 6. I think he's a valuable 3 to have. I honestly would rather have Will Barton play the 3 than Lauri Markkanen for this team.
Well, I don't think defensively Will Barton's going to give you much at the 3, but
better than Laurie.
At least you got some length from Laurie.
Yeah, but I mean, Laurie's also pretty slow. So like if you're facing the Warriors in a fast-paced environment, Laurie's he's not doing much for you on defense because it's all full court press type. You're running, and he's just slower. He's not going to keep up. Where Will Barton will keep up. It's just he adds a small ball option for them and add more versatility.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good scorer. He can definitely help them in spurts. But he's going to be a bench player. Like I would not be starting Will Barton. Yeah. And on the Wizards side, next to Bradley Beal, you're still lacking a point guard. Where I mean, who do they have now? Morris. They got Monte Morris.
Monte Morris is probably going to be their starting point guard. If they did this, it would kind of push Beal to the 3, which is fine. Beal's 6'6". He's fine. If Anthony Edwards can play the 3, he can. Beal's just not the best defensive player, but I think that adds that's a really versatile backcourt with Morris, Sexton, and Beal. I'd be excited to see the offense that comes out of that.
Yeah, and they need scorers around Beal because he can't do it all every night.
Yeah, your second best scorer is Kyle Kuzma. Yeah, they need help.
Getting a guy like Collin Sexton would definitely help. I'm sure the Wizards are wishing that Spencer Dinwiddie played like he did in Dallas, in Washington. Yeah.
Granted, he's a 6-man because he listened to your boy who said 6-man Dinwiddie is the best. He did. He watched this and he's like, that fucking nerd's got a point.
I didn't know Dinwiddie was here. He must be lurking.
Yeah, he's listening. You should comment below, Dinwiddie. I want to prove everyone wrong. But to jump into my second trade, so this is a straight up Cavaliers Jazz. The Cavaliers give Collin Sexton. Jazz give Bogdanovich. Now that's a real 3 you could have off ball. He can go around, give you your 15 points a night, give you some decent defense. It's only straight up because it's a sign and trade. People forget how little people get back for a sign and trade. So to get this back would be great. And plus, it just adds more versatility to the lineup. Just I think they're looking for a small forward, not a shooting guard, because of Okoro did well and Karis LeVert's there. So I think they are looking for a small forward.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for the Cavs, but I think the Jazz would say no.
You think the Jazz can do better than Collin Sexton for Bogdanovich?
I think they want to be terrible, and they would rather trade Bogdanovich for picks if they can, and they'll just wait till they can get a pick package for him.
I don't know how many picks Bogdanovich is going to get them, honestly, just because how he has regressed in the last few years. And I think if they could get Collin Sexton back, that doesn't mean he's going to win them games. They've kind of found their replacement for Donovan Mitchell. Not that he's going to get there.
Then they have to pay Collin Sexton big money, which if you're a rebuilding team, there's no reason to do that.
Yeah, he has guaranteed skill. I mean, the Magic are rebuilding, and they paid Jonathan Isaac and Markelle Fultz and Wendell Carter.
Different situations, I would argue.
They did that going into the rebuild.
Collin Sexton, you sign him, you trade for him. He's already spent a few years in the league losing. You think he wants to spend more years losing for Utah? What's he going to do at the end of that contract if they're not winning games? It's going to be I just really want to be somewhere we're going to win games. I'm going to go to LA or Miami.
So, I mean, you can look at it at most they could get a first for Bogdanovich from the Cavs. So let's just use it for this. So you look at, would you rather have a mid-20s pick, say it's 2024, 2025, because they're going to be in the playoffs. I think the Cavs are going to be in the playoffs for a while. Are you going to have would you rather have a mid-20s pick or Collin Sexton? They're going to have to pay somebody. Nobody, they never go in and not pay anybody. Usually they get all teams, whether they're rebuilding or have no one on their team left anyway, they still stay around the cap. So they're going to have to pay someone, and I think they would rather pay Collin Sexton. And they'd rather have
but they don't need to do long contracts. They would rather have the draft pick, I would argue. I definitely think Collin Sexton, definitely a great player. I love him. I want to see him play. But he's just gonna play meaningless basketball on the Utah Jazz. And if they trade for him, he's going to add like a couple wins to their team, but not enough to make the playoffs. So what's the reason for adding him when you could just like stockpile draft picks and then, get about the same amount of wins, probably the same amount of revenue, or actually you would get more revenue because you're not giving out that big contract. Maybe you pay someone else for, I don't know, the single year, but then you trade that guy later on in the season. You save some more money, at least in the later back half of the season. And then, you develop the guys that you have and see what you got there.
I mean, they don't have that many young talent anyway, and he is a very exciting player. Like he does bring excitement, and they do still have to sell tickets. So they don't want to be, especially a small market.
Does it fit their
like
window though?
I think he fits a lot of people's. I don't think he's going to affect anyone's rebuild as bad. I don't think he's going to help them win games, but he is a young talent that can get better and is exciting and can score. He's a nice piece to have, so I say I might as well have him in there. I mean, it's not keeping Bogdanovich isn't going to help do them any much better. So, and Bogdanovich is on an expiring deal.
Yeah, which is why he'll be easier to trade for picks this year than any other year.
I think that's the opposite. If he was on more longer, he's not a bad contract, Bogdanovich. So if he was on
he was definitely considered a bad contract like last season with like 2 years on his contract. No one wanted to trade for that, but like with 1 year on it, if he plays well and then you just rent him for the back half of the season, some teams will sign up for that.
Yeah, but nobody's gonna give picks for a guy who's on who's expiring like that.
They'll give like a protected first round.
I think the size of his contract and the 1 year cancel each other out. I think it's gonna have to be matching salaries for anyone to pick him up.
Well, they'll take back some shitty contracts.
All right, we'll move on to my last goes. Is the Cavaliers and the Hornets. So Collin Sexton and Dean Wade, and the Cavs get. So the Hornets get Collin Sexton, Dean Wade, and Terry Rozier goes to the Cavs.
Nice. Do you think Collin Sexton is better than Terry Rozier?
No, but he's going to make less money, and he's going to ask for less money. Plus,
I thought he wanted a lot still.
He's still more, and plus he fits LaMelo better because he's more off ball, and Rozier is more of on ball type player.
Sure. Yeah, he probably does fit better. That's fair.
Yeah, but you can make an argument that the Cavs don't want an on ball guy, but I do think if he came in, I think another playmaker next to Darius Garland is fine. He definitely plays better. Rozier plays better defense. Collin Sexton's a better shooter. So I mean, they kind of fit different veins there. So they could want more defense next to LaMelo, but LaMelo's pretty decent defensively himself. So I think an off-ball type cutter, shooter, and just that energetic guy next to LaMelo, I think Collin would love playing with him. So I think that it would be a great fit. And Rozier can help the Cavs win now.
Yeah, I think it'd be an interesting swap. Definitely, I think Rozier's been in Charlotte for a few years now, so maybe like just getting a new guy in there is good for them. Just switch things up. So who knows? Yeah,
I mean, it brings a little more young potential to the Hornets now that Miles Bridges is gone. So they kind of need that excitement back.
He's not gone quite yet.
Okay, I mean,
they haven't pulled the qualifying offer yet. So if he suits up for the Hornets again, we'll be furious. But
yeah, oh my God,
there's a possibility it still happens.
Michael, don't do this. MJ, come on, man.
I'll lose all respect.
Yeah.
Never 5 pair of Jordans in my life.
Never. But I mean, it's kind of Collin Sexton's options are pretty low now that it's the end of the offseason. A lot of people just can't be traded anyway, so a lot of sign and trades are just kind of out of the way. So,
I think there's just dominoes to fall. I think once Durant gets traded, once Donovan Mitchell gets traded, maybe a team like the Miami Heat settles and tries to do something to grab him, or someone else.
Or Collin Sexton, maybe. Yeah, he might be waiting for some of them just to be fit as salary in a 3-team trade somewhere. That could be it. Where they're just tossing him around the league. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could like to have Collin Sexton. Honestly, I would take him on the Magic. But we're pretty loaded with guards.
You guys have a lot of guards, though.
But I'll take any scoring at this point. We're pretty horribly offense, but.
And now on Strictly Ball Business, we're talking about the top 5 leaders in the NBA. Dalton, who is the 5th greatest leader in this league?
The 5th greatest leader. I want to start off with my honorable mention, which is Damian Lillard. He's cool. You son of a bitch, Damian Lillard. No, he's 6 on mine. Honorable mention. I really think he's a good leader.
Okay. So he's not even 5. He's honorable mention.
He's my honorable mention.
Okay.
But my 5th best leader is Marcus Smart. I think what he was able to do, it was funny because when we first started watching, he was just kind of that defender guy who's just kind of insane. And now he was a solid leader. He came up and checked him, and that's leadership is what gets you far in the playoffs, and he did a great job, and that's why they went to the finals. So we'll see what happens. I do think Malcolm Brogdon is going to help with the major playmaking aspect of them, and I think they're going to be back at the finals. I think at least conference finals, but I think he was the leader on that team, and that really impressed me. Who's your 5th?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's a great choice. My 5th is actually Jimmy Butler, a motherfucker I do not like, but I'll give him respect. He's done a great job at bringing his team together, and obviously an already established regime with Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley, but he comes in there and he's the vocal leader, and everybody knows his personality, and for him to come in and to be with the Heat, it's really been a perfect match. So I think he's probably been a great leader for everybody around him, and probably made guys like Tyler Hero work extra hard. Yeah,
he's definitely a great leader. He was a good leader when he wanted to be in Minnesota, but then he didn't want to, and he led his way right out of it. Led them back to the lottery.
Yeah. So maybe not a great leader in totality. As a Timberwolves fan, I can attest that I did not love that moment. But on his current squad, the one that he ran off to, he's been a good leader with them.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he actually ran off to the 76ers first, and then
and then he ran away from them.
Yeah, but no, he's solid. He's a great leader. I'll say that.
Yeah. Who's your number 4?
Who's my number 4? A lot of people aren't going to like this, but I think the proof is in the pudding, and I think a lot of this is how well they have led and the success of their leading. LeBron James is my 4th. A lot of people won't like him at 4. A lot of people won't think he's a leader at all because so many people are so polar. But I think this year he's always been a great leader. He always has been. That what really led that was when he just carried that group of bums of Cavaliers to the finals. that was his own skill too. But he is a great leader. People learn next to him. Anthony Davis won a championship next to him. He was really struggled this year because he had to figure out what to do with Westbrook. But I do still think he's one of the best leaders in the NBA. That's why he's only 4, because he didn't get that success as he normally did.
Yeah, he's absolutely a great leader. I've certainly got him on my list, but I'll give you a hint. I don't have him at 4. At 4, I have none other than Luka Doncic. He's come into the league, and as a young guy, been given the tough task of being the leader of his team, but he's taken it full stride. He's brought his team to the conference finals already with a young coach alongside him. And sure, Jason Kidd's a big reason for their success, but everybody knows Luka Doncic is the biggest reason. He even led Slovenia almost to a medal. Like, they were 1 point away, basically.
Yeah, he did come to mind when I was doing this. It was only how young he was, which shouldn't matter, but I do think all of my 5 are better leaders than him. But he could next season. He'll definitely be on this list.
Yeah. Who you got next?
What do we have? 3. My 3rd best leader in the NBA was Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think he just leads it on both ends. He's like, if you're not going to do it, I'll do it. And that's a really admirable way to lead this team. And that's really what made him 3. any other season he could have been number one, but there's two guys that I think were just always better leaders. But he's amazing. I really like the way he leads too. He's not he holds them accountable without chastising anyone. It's super crazy. It's super cool to see, and how he turned into this leader. We got to see him grow before our eyes.
Yeah, no, I agree. Giannis, amazing player, amazing leader. I also have him as my number 3. I think just what he's become already. He's still so young. We forget, like, he's only 26. And to do what he's done to lead his team to the championship, to score 50 points in that, and to overcome his weakness of shooting free throws in that game. Everybody looks to him and they're like, okay, that's a guy that makes me being willing to play in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You got to be really good to make someone want to play in Milwaukee. And you got Bobby Portis decided a 4-year contract after playing there on the cheap last year.
Yeah. And it's even like just his personality. People are like, I just want to play with Giannis. Like Damian Lillard said, he's like, I'd want to play with Giannis. And it's not just because of how good he is. It's just because of how great of a guy he is and a awesome leader. Yeah. So that speaks volumes. Volumes, yeah. I tell you.
Volumes. But number 2, I have LeBron. So he was on my list. I think his career speaks for itself. Like people understand like his pedigree. The fact that there's been so many conversations of Jordan versus LeBron tells you enough about how amazing he is, and his in terms of being able to build a team together and get a championship within year 1, or within a couple of years of bringing the team together. Like, sure, things tend to fall apart fast after that, but would you not take the trade if you were in that position, bringing LeBron to your team? Like, I know I'd do it. Sure, my team's going to collapse, but I get a championship out of it.
Definitely. Oh, yeah. Definitely. He's, like I said, he was my 4, but the only reason he was 4 and not higher was because of the record they had this last season and the struggles they went through. He's terrific. I'm curious to see who you don't have on your list that I have, because my top 2, I was I'm pretty adamant about. So my number 2 is Draymond Green. He has been the vocal leader. He has been the leader in the locker room for these Warriors teams. Granted, Steph Curry, it's not like he doesn't lead at all, but Draymond Green has done everything. He's been huge for the development of the young players. I know he was a major reason on Gary Payton on his drive and getting him minutes. So he's just been great for this team, and it's probably Draymond that you don't have on your list.
Number 1 on my list is Chris Paul.
Okay. Same.
I think, in terms of how quick he was able to get this Suns team over the hump, amazing. Yeah, every team that he's been on before, like, he's been the vocal leader. He's been the steering force. Like, he's been really considered a wise veteran for like a decade now.
Yeah.
And he still has the skills to back it up. Sure, he's not always clutch, but he pretty often is, and he's helped accelerate the talents of a lot of young players. He's helped getting those guys paid, like Cam Johnson, DeAndre Ayton. Yep. Back on the Clippers, DeAndre Jordan, helping Lob City, getting those guys the attention.
and Shea, like his development towards Shea when he was in OKC for that 1 year, that was almost the most impressive thing of his career. He just took all those guys, like, come on, let's go to the playoffs. Let's go.
Yeah, fucking out of nowhere. Everybody was like, oh, CP3's washed. Like, getting rid of him was supposed to be the chore that season, and then he ended up, showing everybody like, no, I still got something. Actually, I'm good. Yeah.
So, great first. I mean, everything you said plus like that. I mean, development, he does it all. Like, and I'm surprised he just hasn't won a champ. I think he's gonna be the single greatest player to never win a championship. I mean, AI is up there, but I do think everything Chris Paul has done and the semi-success he has had, it's going to be crazy by the longevity of his career too, that he didn't win a championship.
Yeah, I mean, at least he got the chance to play in one. But I'd say like this upcoming season's really like last good shot.
That's what we say every year.
No, I haven't said that. Like I said, like the last couple of years, like I was like, they got a couple of years. Now I'm like, this is the last year. Like after this, sure, they've still got guys under contract, but I mean, Chris Paul is getting old, and like if the wheels did fall off this last season. So in terms of health again, so we'll see what happens this year. I think talent is probably going to be there every year, but the injuries just seem to come. They always do.
What if the season Suns fizzle out at like a 5th seed, and then they trade DeAndre Ayton and don't get much back for him because they're gonna have to trade him unless I don't see them repairing this relationship because he's pretty mad.
They don't gotta trade him. They got him under a max contract. I think he's happy now they got paid.
I mean, they don't have to, but the Jazz don't have to trade Donovan Mitchell either. But
they want to. I mean, that's the difference.
Now, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, but they.
I don't think the Suns want to give up Ayton for nothing. I think like they want to use him for a star like Durant. Like they want to hold out till some star, even if it's not Durant, but till some star can get traded for that, and some team's willing to do it.
My point is the Suns are probably nearing the end of their big run. So maybe in like a year or two, he's just like, you know what? I'm going to do a farewell tour, goes to the Clippers, replaces John Wall, wins a championship with Kawhi and Paul George. What a storyline. What a story. His last season, too. I'd be like, hey, man, Tom Brady. What Tom Brady should have done.
Yeah. No, I can see it. I'm down with it.
That'd be cool. Brings a championship to LA Clippers, the other side of LA.
I mean, he spent a good amount of his career there, so why not?
I'd say that's what he's going to be most known for is his time with
I mean, he did have some really solid years with the Hornets though, and now they are the Pelicans, so that's kind of difference. But like, what if he went back to New Orleans? Like, they could use a point guard. Yeah,
that'd be cool. I assume it would be him and CJ. Probably BI would have because they're not gonna have to trade BI for Chris Paul. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd be down for that. Either one will be a good storyline. So I hope he goes back. But watch him just end up on watch him end up on the Lakers.
No, I mean, who knows? I think he's gonna take his shot to get a championship as long as his body holds up. So. Yeah. I think we'll see how long he plays, but I think those injuries are going to catch up.
True. What do you guys think of our ranking list? Well, how would you guys rank these guys? What's your ranking list look like? Comment below. Let us know. Let's move on to another great point guard that's awesome at playmaking. That's Tyrese Haliburton. Let's do a deep dive. Could he be the next superstar in this league? What's his ceiling? What do you think?
I've got Tyrese Haliburton as one of my next superstars in this league because into this upcoming season, he's only going to be 22 years old. And right now, Basketball Reference has him projected to shoot 42% from 3. And they only think he's going to get 16 points per game. But I think, eventually, he should be getting much more volume than that. And at the end of last year, I think, his time with the Pacers, he was scoring over 20 points per game. So I'm predicting that he's going to be scoring around 20 points per game this year. And if not 18 or 19, right below that. And he's going to have really about 8 assists as well. He's averaging 2 steals per game, probably. And that's just in his age 22 season. Imagine what this guy's going to do when he's 27. This guy is no doubt going to be a superstar. As you see other guys leaving the league and your magnifying glass goes to new players, this is going to be a guy that we keep an eye on because his jump shot is unorthodox, but he fucking nails them. And he's a solid passer. He's fun. He smiles while he plays. That's a guy that the league's going to fall in love with. And he's on the small market Pacers, so they need a face to their team.
Yeah, I do think there's going to be a point in the history of the NBA in the coming years where he will be the smartest player in the NBA. Once LeBron leaves, once Paul leaves, I think he's gonna be smarter than Luka, the way he is. But I mean, the biggest part of him is his playmaking. Knows the entire offense. You can see he makes the pass before before they're there. He knows the offensive scheme so well. He just knows everyone's location, where all the players are. Very much like his situational awareness, like Larry Bird. Larry Bird not known for his passing, but he was a great passer, gets triple doubles because he just knew the offense inside out. So it's great, and it's almost to a fault where like the only times he gets turnovers is because he'll like pass it and they're not looking, like he'll just throw it at them, but they're wide open, but they just weren't paying attention, or they didn't get to their spot soon enough, and they just missed. And that's basically all of his turnovers. He has great ball handle. His defense, let's get into that. Able to keep up, stay with the player, staying active, always moving, always aware of everyone's position, able to bother them even without leaving his defender. He's able to reach over, get into their space, change their what play they're gonna. Like I'm remembering one with Cat where he was completely out of the play that D'Angelo Russell tried to pull him out of like the three, like make him guard D'Angelo out past the three, and he did, but he just shifted his body in and like moved a little bit where he could still stay on and guard D'Angelo, but able to get close enough to Cat where Cat couldn't go right, which was his original plan. So he does little things where he just changes each offensive play. So he's just such a smart player. Not the biggest paint threat, but like you said, gonna shoot 42%, gonna be great. Mainly creates gets his shots off from catch and shoot. Doesn't create much. He does, and he shows he creates it, and that's what I want to see this season. Is him creating his own shot more.
Yeah, I definitely think he has the ability to do that, and I think having a pick and roll partner makes it easier. Right now, having Miles Turner, I don't think is the ideal running mate for him. I think that's why they tried to sign DeAndre Ayton, because imagine what DeAndre Ayton would have been like paired with him.
Yeah, that would have been. DeAndre Ayton is almost a perfect fit next to Haliburton because the spacing's perfect. Because Haliburton spends very little time in the paint. He does not do much inside. So, but a pick and roll, a guy like Ayton to maneuver that'd be awesome. That'd be one of the craziest.
It would open everything up. Yeah, so I think they're definitely looking for a guy like that, and maybe they can still trade for DeAndre Ayton, like you said. If earlier you said DeAndre Ayton maybe doesn't want to be in Phoenix, maybe Phoenix eventually just takes the Miles Turner Buddy Hield offer because they're like, okay, nothing better is coming along. That's at least giving us a couple solid players to help us get a championship this year, because they have to put out their best effort this year. I don't think I mean, if they run it back with the exact same roster this year, who knows? I don't want to get Suns talk again, but Tyrese Haliburton is a great player. I think you get alongside a pick and roll player next to him. You see what's going to be available for that in the next couple of years, and you're doing great. You already drafted a solid scorer in Benedict Mathurin, who's going to be next to him. Yeah. So I think, that should open things up as well. And
you cleared Brogdon out of there. Who you lose someone, the veteran end, but you open now. All of the keys are given to Haliburton now. He is full reign of the offense. Yeah, you needed to do that because, otherwise Haliburton's just going to play little brother to Malcolm Brogdon, and you need Malcolm Brogdon just to get out there and be in a new situation. For the Pacers, you got mostly a young squad. I think you're still looking to trade Miles Turner, but you draft Benedict Mathurin, and that way you at least have another young dude next to him who's going to look up to Haliburton as a guy who's already done something in the league. But I don't know if you've heard Benedict Mathurin talk, but he doesn't really look up to anyone. Yeah, I've heard him talk about that. That's kind of what I want to hear out of the guy. But they still got O'Shea Brissett. I like him. There's still a chance they can get Ayton. The only reason they didn't get him, aside from the fact that the Suns matched his offers, the Suns were trying to figure out a 3-team trade, including the Pacers. But the Pacers were like, fuck it, we're going to offer. They did this risky thing where they're like, we're going to offer him the max. Let's see if the Suns offer. And they did. So there's still a chance as they come
They're just tired of waiting around.
Yeah, they just wanted him. So
they're like, we can't wait till you figure out your shit with Durant. Like that's not our problem.
Yeah, they're like, we just want Ayton. So that they kind of jumped the gun on it. It was kind of it would have been one of the smartest moves ever if they didn't match, but because they matched, it was a risky.
I mean, I understood why they put the offer sheet out there. They had to try and call their bluff. And worst case scenario is that the Suns match it. Maybe if you're the Pacers, you get to trade from later on, but you still have the cap space, so it's not a real harm.
Yeah, but back to Tyrese, I'm super excited for when they get more solid, more comfortable scores next to him. to see the offense he can run with the tools. Give him the tools to do it. Like different guys, like your Tobias Harris, Harrison Barnes, Nikola Vucevic's of the world that are just off ball, that just feed off great playmakers. So like when you get guys like that, I can't wait to just give him the tools and we'll see what he can do. I'm excited to see where this guy can go. I do think he's going to be if you just
All-Star
jumbled
this
up
season, I'm predicting.
I don't know about All-Star this season. I don't think the Pacers are going to be
This
good enough.
season. Doesn't matter. He's making it. DeJounte Murray made it in last year on a bad Spurs team. I think Tyrese Haliburton can do it.
Yeah, it's possible. It's definitely possible. I do think, not that he can't be the number one on a team. I do think he will be the number two only because he's a primary playmaker like that. I do think he will need like a superstar next to him for the Pacers to win a championship. Not that he's not a number one, only because he's a pass first player.
Yeah, no, I definitely think they need more around him, but we're going to see what Matherin's like, and they tried to get Ayton, so I know that they're interested in getting talent, so we'll see who becomes available later on.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Do you think Tyrese Haliburton's going to be an all-star, superstar? You think he's never going to make it? He's going to be a Mike Conley, CJ Cullum of this world? You let us know. Comment below. Another guy I know you're excited to talk about is Evan Mobley. So, what's his cap? What's he going to do? He's with a great Cavs team. He's turned out to be, a very good top 3 pick. So, what do you think?
Evan Mobley is going to be a superstar in this league. Like, no doubt. This is a guy who has shooting potential. We haven't necessarily seen him light it up from the 3 yet, but I think this is a guy that we've seen shoot it from mid-range at least, so maybe he can branch it out later on in his career. And at the very least, he's a great post scorer. He can block about 2 shots a game, so bare minimum, giving you solid defense there. And like immediately, that was really the thing that you worry about with a rookie big man is his defensive abilities. And maybe being next to Jared Allen helps him. I'm sure it does. But he looked great. I mean, defensively, I had no problem with him out there for a rookie. He's going into his 2nd year. And I think this is a guy who could eventually look like a defensive player of the year.
Oh, yeah. No, I really think he's going to, after Gobert, it's his turn. I think he's going to be one of the defensive all-star of the East. I think he's going to be insane. I can't wait to see it. He's so physical. And so, like, he looks like a lanky guy, but when you watch him play, he does not act like it. His athleticism, his mobility, it's all there. Great handle. He has, like, a Giannis-like handle for his size. And that's super cool to see. Physical, his timing is great. He gets blocks, able to get these rebounds. Know when to jump. Knows when to stop when he's rolling. He's just a smart player to see at this age. He's not afraid of contact. However, he just can't finish through contact as well. Not afraid of it, but he'll get there. I do think he'll get there. He does struggle with a little defensive pressure. When a play breaks down, so when he backs up, he fumbles a lot. He just tries to lob the pass outside and is not able to get there. He can make if there's an easy pass right in front of him, he can make that. I don't see him making the next pass, and nor does he need to be. However, what he does need to do is know how to pass it out, and he does not do a great job because he gets so flustered when an offensive play breaks down and the defense stops him. He just kind of like freaks out and either throws up a wild hook or just shoots it. That's something he needs to solidify. I don't need him to average 3 assists a game. I just need him to make those crisp passes out and learn how to get himself out of traffic.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I think that's a typical weakness for a big man. So hopefully it's something he can refine. And I think it's something that can just get better at playing games. Like, man is only going to be 21 next year. So I think he's got plenty of time to work on that skill. Yeah,
that's more of a comfortability thing, not a skill thing. Guy has to get comfortable down below. Some players never do, granted. But I think he'll get there. He certainly has that mindset. I mean, I would like to see more instances. I mean, they tried it a bunch at the beginning of the season. But I would like to see the more instances of his catch and shoot, catch and pop. I mean, he's just not big enough to be a massive rolling threat, which he is. He is because of his height and everything. And he can finish. But I'd like to see a little more pop because of his height. I think to spread it out to mid-range. Maybe start there. Some catch and shoot on the 3, possibly. he's got the spacing with Jared Allen there, so I'd like to see that a lot more from him. I know he didn't shoot that efficiently, but maybe within more practice he can get there.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's just he's got a long way to go in that, but I think he just needs to have some more opportunities. And he's got an all-star point guard with Darius Garland, so that should help him out, hopefully long term. It's definitely a better situation than most big men have to deal with.
Yeah, I think he will. If not this season, he will emerge to be the second best player on this team, no doubt. And it'll very well be like he'll be the Gobert of the East, just maybe a little more offensively. He'll be a superstar because Gobert. I consider Gobert a two-tier, all-star, a superstar, like a Bradley Beal, where like he obviously needs something else, but he's second tier because of how good his defense is, Gobert. So, I think he can become. I don't know about a 1-tier. I do think he can be a 2-tier still, just more
he can
offensively.
Get as good as Bam Adebayo, I think.
Yeah, if not better. I think he can be better than Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo, I see as like a 3-tier. But yeah, definitely. I'm super excited to see where he goes. He's going to be a great excitement to watch, especially. I mean, I didn't think the Jared Allen and Mobley was going to work, and that's not the part that didn't work this season.
Yeah.
That part worked fine. It was just they needed to find some good wings next to Darius.
Yep, exactly. I mean, we'll see what happens. I think they've got plenty of talent on that Cavs team, and they were like looking like a top 4 team in the East for a lot of last season. And there's been some shakeup in the East, so who knows? They could be really good again next year. I think they've certainly got the talent. Yeah, I mean, in the playoffs, they showed that they were inexperienced and they needed more veterans, so they went out and got a bunch of veterans. So that is smart moves. Do you see down the road that they will double down and be like, you know what? We want Mobley as our center. We want him to lock down the paint instead of Jared Allen. And then Jared Allen's off to the wayside, whether it be free agency or they get traded him. You think he's going to be a power forward for his whole career, or do you think they're going to eventually just move him back to center? I think eventually he'll probably get moved back to center, but it'll probably be just when a different player that's better than Jared Allen becomes available, and then they trade, Allen for him. They do like some kind of package like that because, maybe it's a 3 or a 2-man. I don't know who it is, but I'm sure at some point that's probably the way they want to go. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, you probably get smaller.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. I'm not convinced yet. I think him being next to Jared Allen does, because I did say he's physical and everything, but like he is still smaller, skinnier guy. I think gives him more time to bulk up and get that inside presence more. So it's a lot buffer time where he still gets to play as a big man, but he's not responsible for locking down the paint as Jared Allen is at this point. So I think it certainly is helping his development. So I think he can almost live out his whole rookie contract as a power forward, but I think eventually I would like to see him as a center, especially with the mobility he has. I mean, that'd be crazy.
Right. No, I definitely think it could work out. I think it just depends on like how much defense you're getting back in a different player, because that's why they're doing the Twin Tower thing right now, because defensively it works.
Yeah.
So like if like they can get a better offensive player who's not a huge drop off on defense, that's probably the only reason you move on from Allen at some point.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. But perfect. What do you guys think? Is he going to be an all-star? Is he going to be a superstar? You think he's ever going to get traded? Let us know your predictions for the career of Evan Mobley. Comment below. Let someone know.
Yes. All right. That was Strictly Ball Business, guys. Episode 48. So thank you very much for tuning in. And if you made it this far, you might as well subscribe.
Yeah, might as well. You want to hear us more? I love talking to you guys.
Hey, there you go. So, till next time, Strictly Ball Business, where we strictly talk basketball. Tune in next time